Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 17 of One Step at a Time with Charlie Chen. And this week we're going to be talking about, well, I've been thinking about it for a long time. So I think it's going to be called The Thing About Letting Go. Now, I have been really busy lately, and learning the job hasn't been easy. And I just finished playing a video game for about 3 hours, maybe 4 hours after I got home from doing an open house and then meal prepping for the week. Now you might think, video games, how hard would that be? Well, the game is not bad, but it's not the kind of game that I would have played unless, well, so I have a friend in New York that we're pretty close to, and well, it's a long distance friendship, and it's pretty much the only way that I really get to hang out with him. And so he will pick out games for me to play, and then we hang out and pretty much going through the experiences together. And this time he had me play a game called Dragon Quest Builders 2, which is like Dragon Quest flavored Minecraft, and it's pretty fun. And it is pretty fun, but had I had my pick, I would have been relaxing by playing StarCraft 2, maybe a little bit World of Warcraft, but and now I feel a little bit of anxiety because well, I didn't do my dailies in StarCraft 2, and now I feel weird. But it's okay. I mean, none of it really matters, does it? And that's the thing I want to talk about. It's like the thing about letting go, right? I think truly in life, people don't, well, like as much as people are told to grow up, people don't let go unless it becomes too painful to hold on. And it's interesting because this pain can both come from yourself or it can come from the world. And and what I mean by that is sometimes some pains come from self-imposed, right? Like obviously I can try to make friends with people who are my neighbors, make friends with people who are in Austin. But this friendship to me is important because I've had this friendship since college. And I try what I can to maintain it. It's painful at times, but it's self-imposed. And I think I can bear with the pain, and so I proceed with it, right? And but then sometimes pain comes from elsewhere, right? When I still remember a time when my ex pretty much told me to grow up and give up my hobbies, right? And I tried it, but it didn't lead to what I wanted, and so I didn't follow through. So, but yeah, that's the thing about letting go, right? How do you know when to let go, and how do you know when not to let go? It's almost like sometimes it's almost like gambling, because, like for instance, my 5 months that I spent as an unemployed person, I still, I mean, not that I buy regularly, but I buy lottery tickets when the numbers gets big enough. And and while the chance of actually winning the lottery is non-existent, for me what was important is essentially having the possibility within my hand. Even though I know it's not going to work, but it's almost like the faith that came from buying those lottery tickets mattered more to me than actually winning. Something about something to look forward to keep me pushing, right? So, yeah. we put up with the kind of pain that we accept that happened to me. And well, what are some other pain? Oh, right. They like life is full of pain, but I'm the kind of person who sort of live in the moment and do what I can to push forward and go for positive outcomes. And so having to think back and think about pain actually, takes a little effort. Even though I guess I do remember bad things happening, but I also don't hold grudges, but I also don't like willing, willingly walk into the same pain unless I get something out of it. But so the second pain I wanted to talk about, or things I'm sort of thinking about letting go or not let go, is the show every Tuesday and Friday. Now I'm not saying I'm not going to participate, but my understanding of the show may have to be let go. As in, there are talks about having more comedy than music, which is fine because we did join the show with the intention of doing comedy and music, right? But last Friday, I had to sat through a studio session where it's pretty much all comic, and it was maybe like five, yeah, at best 5 minutes of bad music because uh, I guess the band still needs. Well, two of the band members are gone, and a fledgling band member still needs a lot of practice to get his fingers right. And also, I want to say he's able to count beat, but I'm not 100% sure, so I'll probably have to check, right? And you would think that the ability to count beat is the bare minimum when it comes to anyone who says I'm a musician, but I digress. Anyway, so yeah, that 2 Fridays ago, that studio session was torturous. It's just comedians telling bad jokes and congratulating each other. And I was holding on to my bass guitar and quaking a little bit because it felt like a waste of my time. And I even chipped in to rent that studio for us to do that show. Well, to do the studio session. So it felt like a waste of time and a waste of money. But then again, we sort of have to go through the motions to understand what kind of show we want and what are the extremes like. What happens if music takes most of the time? What happens if comedy takes most of the time? So it's fine, I guess. But then, of course, it seems that the guitarist wants to do more rock and the drummer wants to do death metal, which in a comedy context, I it wasn't what I was used to when the pianist Josh was still with us, right? Because we played songs that are more bluesy, more funky, and things like that. But to go full on rock and, maybe even venturing on death metal, I welcome the challenge of learning new genre of music, so that is not bothering me. And am I really bothered? I guess bothered enough to bring it up, but it's all part of the experimentation, and if it is good for the show, it's good for the show, right? And I don't know. We'll pretty much have to sit back and see, right? Yeah, just paying and letting go. Well, let me tell you, something that I didn't let go would be So I was at work and there was this old guy with a computer who needed help but didn't want to come to work in person, but is also very concerned about holding on to years of data. So I had to sit on the phone with him for 4 hours last Monday, or this Monday. Well, it's Sunday, so this Monday. And yeah, I was on the phone so long that it fried my brain, and now I wonder. And then, of course, I get pulled on Coldtowne after a year of signing up, but obviously, always it puts me on a day that I'm so frazzled that even I messed up my sign up, and I signed up with my real name, and I had to use some of my tried and true jokes because, well, if it takes you a year to get on, you want it to be a good, right? Except my tried and true jokes were a little bit edgy, so I don't know what the fallout is gonna be. I hope it doesn't go bad, but we'll cross the bridge when we go there. But back to the story about helping the old guy. We couldn't fix it that Monday, and he said he would. But I guess without the aid of AI, purely based on my experience in IT, I was able to deduct that, well, maybe his system where the profile adding part of the installation was bad. And so we ended up meeting Wednesday, and I had to sit in his car to pretty much put everything together because, yeah, it's something I didn't want to compromise on. I didn't want to let go. And it may be dumb because it is for a system that we no longer support or we're slowly phasing out. But what I didn't want to let go was this. Is it professionalism? I suppose. But this decision to see it through, the decision to make sure that people are at least at the level when they first came and maybe even better. It's sort of like how the doctors do this oath, Hippocratic oath, when it comes to saving people. It's sort of like a self-made deal when it comes to doing IT work for people. I want to make sure that they're in a good spot when I leave. So, because to me, just saying, oh, it's broken, I can't fix it, I hate it. And it's those things leads to regret, and that's how I lose sleep sometimes. Oh, speaking of sleep, funny enough, this morning I woke up from a very frustrating dream because I was trying to do something good in the dream, but then, um, but then I think I ran into a wall where I have to do paperwork and going through bureaucracies, and it took so long that I actually woke up before the dream finished. So it's not a nightmare, but it was frustrating. So, oh, what a weird dream to have. But yeah, things as we know it. Ah, something that happened at work, right, is that, as you know, worked really hard in IT. I strived really hard to eventually reach a point where I work as, you know, operations engineer. Pretty much everything less than outside of AWS, so the web servers, I get to work on and I help people with it. And I was good at it. But then, I lost my job because of Trump tariffs. And then it took me 5 months to find this job now as a senior desktop support, which is like the kind of job that I would have worked right out of college, right? But the job market for IT people are so bad, I had to take what I have to get, what I can get, right? And it feels weird because and this circles back to letting go, because a part of me don't want to let go of yesterday's success. As in, I still have memories of working as system operator. Well, I still have my memories as operating as an operations engineer, and yet I couldn't find a situation where I can be put to best use for the maximum profit at the same time, right? And so it haunts me because I still remember what it once was. And in a way, it's very much similar to what's happening to this country, right? Like, what is normal, right? What does it mean for people to have rights? Things like that. What are the bare minimum? Everything's being renegotiated. It and I'm actually working on a joke on this. It's something about feeling old, but the misdirection is actually, it's not that I'm actually becoming old, it's that the misdirection is that the social contract is being rewritten so much that I feel old from all the revisions. But yeah, my memories of working as a system engineer, right? Operations engineer. But that's all behind me now. So on one hand, taking less pay, which is fine because the job role is less, but a part of me also refuses to say I don't know. So I still go for things even if it is which is more than what might be handled by a senior desktop support. But then since I'm new at the job, I feel like I'm a nobody because people who have less technical knowledge than me has institutional knowledge, so they know how things work, who to talk to, what kind of paperwork to do, and when to do it. I don't know any of that, so I feel trapped. And well, and on top of that, people with less experience than me are now empowered by AI. So they technically arrive at the same conclusions I arrive at, but with none of the understanding or memories of working through those systems by hand, right? So there's also that going on. And so what part of it can I let go, and what part of it should I let go, right? My chase for excellence, my sense of identity of an accomplishment, my I don't know. It this constant rejustification of myself does feel pretty bad. Now, in America, it might be a sign of lack of confidence, right? Because people like confident people. But from Asian countries, it's called 谦虚, or in Chinese, it's called 谦虚, which means modest. We like modesty because it shows that the person actually pays attention and is self-aware, right? But I wonder if my modesty has been or is being used against me, right? But yeah, it's this thing about letting go of the past, right? One of the quote it eventually becomes is something like, "Yesterday's success is dangerous because just because you did it yesterday doesn't guarantee you success in the future, right? Which is fair, but then you start looking back. It's almost like yesterday's success doesn't guarantee you success in the future if you're a regular person, but if you're big enough, if you're power enough, yesterday's success does guarantee you a good future because of things like too big to fail, right? Because so so these family dynasties, these organizations, they can just say, I have been successful, now you rely on me, and you cannot challenge my history of success, so you just have to let me be. But regular people, even if they're doing excellent job, they just have to re-justify themselves over and over, sometimes in front of a new owner, right? I think that does something to people where they have to re-justify themselves. And so you have that, and then you have a system that rewards people who are confident. But this whole constant rejustification makes people not confident because they raise the bar on what they expect. Then the confident people are either really good at bluffing or they know no fear or sociopaths or whatever. So I don't know. It's I don't know, man. And very much like what I said before, when it comes down to like living with no regrets, I guess whether you let go and not let go, in a way, it doesn't matter at the end, but let it be something that you can live with, something that might even bring you a smile before you pass on, because it's memories is all we have, I guess. Anyway, well, yeah, I hope you guys have a great week. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.